realized now that the most important thing was to see Jockey. His strange actions could easily be blamed on a fox spirit, but I didn't believe it. Either he was pretending to be mad, or there was a real reason for it. Either way, there had to be an explanation. Old Hank continued. Later, the old madam had no choice but to send him to the house in Mudu, with people watching him. He's been there 6 or 7 days, but somehow, he escaped again. Oh, who knows who he's off to? Hurt this time. His words sent a scary feeling down my spine. I quickly said, "Don't talk nonsense. He's probably gone home. Let's get back to the big house." I started the car again, and 10 minutes later, we arrived at the Yi Mansion's gate, which was wide open. I rushed inside, only to find everyone acting strangely. Some stood still like statues, others walked quickly in circles. As soon as I stepped through the door, the old madam came out, grabbing my hand. "Young Master Wei," she said, her voice full of sobs. Her eyes were red and swollen, showing she had been crying for days. I tried to comfort her. "Old madam, I know everything. Don't worry, I'll figure this out. I just saw Jockey on the road." "Where is he now?" Her voice trembled. "In his study. Is he okay right now?" I asked. I don't know, she said, tears forming in her eyes. "Oh, young Master Wei, what bad thing has our family done?" I stopped her. "Old madam, I'll go see him. I'm sure it's nothing." As I said this, I noticed everyone around me staring as if I were offering to face death itself. Even the old madam, with tears streaming down her face, begged, "You'd better not go. Let him be." I pushed past her, almost roughly, unable to stand the very heavy feeling in the air. It was as if some mysterious power held everyone tightly. After pushing past the old madam, I walked quickly to Jockey's study. I moved fast, leaving the sounds of sighs and sobs behind. When I reached the study, the door was closed. I knocked. Jockey's voice came immediately, calm but firm. "Who's there? Come in." I pushed the door open, standing in the doorway, expecting a warm, happy welcome from my friend. Instead, Jockey was sitting at his desk. He turned his head to look at me before looking away. In that short moment, his face had a strange, worrying look. Then he spoke. "Oh, it's you. You're here," he gasped, his words stopping suddenly. I stepped forward, but he waved me back. You'd better get out. I can't hold it back. I can't." I could see his body shaking violently, his hands gripping the chair's armrests as if fighting some terrifying force. At the same time, a strange, piercing cry came from his mouth. Even coming from my best friend, that sound made my hair stand on end. I moved closer, but as I reached the back of his chair, he suddenly stood up. He stood so quickly that the chair fell over. Then he turned to face me. In that instant, I froze. I was only a few feet away, but I couldn't believe the person before me was Jockey. His face was horribly twisted and shaking. Large drops of sweat gleamed on his forehead. Red veins stuck out under his skin, moving like they were alive. He kept his mouth open, letting out deep, animal-like cries. Then, suddenly, he attacked me quickly, his hands grabbing my neck. Caught in complete shock, I couldn't even scream. If I hadn't trained in Chinese martial arts since childhood, I would have been strangled to death. Stars exploded before my eyes as I struggled. With effort, I raised my hand and hit Jockey's temple hard, forcing him to loosen his grip. Then, I twisted my body, hitting his jaw with my elbow with a heavy blow. The hit sent him falling backward onto the floor. Those 2 hits were enough to knock out even the strongest man. I wanted him unconscious, hoping it would calm him down. It was the only thing I could think to do. But to my shock, Jockey didn't pass out. He quickly stood up again. His eyes were wide, staring at me, but I could barely see the black centers of his eyes, just a cloud of blood-red color, as if his eyes had been taken out, leaving only empty, bloody holes. I had never seen such terrifying eyes, and in the 20 years since, I never have again. I stood frozen, stunned, while Jockey let out another terrible roar and charged. He swung both fists, hitting me directly on the chest. I hadn't expected such force from him. The blow threw me backward, my body slamming into the wall. The impact made me fall to the floor, and it took several seconds to manage to stand up. When I stood, Jockey was holding his head, spinning in circles, breathing heavily. I had no idea what had happened to my best friend, how he had become like this. He had to be insane no matter the cause. He was clearly mad. The person walking quickly, who had nearly strangled me to death, was crazy. Even though we had spoken on the phone and he had sounded perfectly clear, his madness must be on and off. My heart ached with sadness. I stood there, confused, calling softly, "Jockey, Jockey," but he didn't respond to my voice. He just kept spinning, faster and faster. Even with my great skill in Chinese martial arts, I couldn't spin endlessly like that without falling. Jockey kept whirling for a full 10 minutes, and I stood there, frozen, watching him for just as long. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I stepped forward slowly, then quickly moved, wrapping my arms around his waist. He stopped spinning but struggled fiercely. Jockey's strength was immense, but I held on with all my might, determined to keep him in my grip. I used every bit of force I had. We crashed around his study, knocking over almost everything in sight. The noise was very loud. Outside, a crowd gathered, mostly Yi family servants. Eventually, the old madam arrived. As I wrestled with Jockey, I shouted, "Old madam, I'll calm him down. I'll make him stop." She didn't respond, just cried. What else could a mother do? I struggled with Jockey for a full half-hour in that room. Finally, he became weak, falling against me, not moving. He was like a machine that had suddenly stopped working. I kicked a chair upright and gently helped him into it. The old madam rushed forward to check on him, but I held her back. "Old madam, he's fine now. Let him rest. Everyone, stay back. I'll stay with him alone, maybe I can get some answers out of him." With tears streaming, the old madam walked away. The servants sighed and left. I shut the door and turned back. Jockey lay in the chair like a dead body, sweat still pouring from his forehead. I was covered in sweat myself. Wiping my forehead, I finally had a chance to look at his study. This room was one I knew well. When we were very interested in cricket fighting, it was filled with all sorts of cricket jars. When we got into model airplanes, it smelled strongly of a chemical and was covered with parts. But now, as I looked around, it was different from 2 years ago when I had left. Several shelves had fallen over, their contents spread across the floor. The objects weren't anything I'd seen before, they were all animal and plant samples. Broken glass jars which once held samples had spilled formaldehyde, filling the air with a terrible smell. But that smell was nothing compared to the disturbing look of some of the samples. Right at my feet was a centipede sample, the biggest I'd ever seen, 2 feet long, its back a bright mix of red and blue, with countless legs growing from its sides. It made me feel very uncomfortable, but compared to the spiders, I would take the centipede any day. There were several spiders of different sizes. The largest was as big as a fist, covered in inch-long, dark red hairs. Another had a pattern on its back that looked strangely like a human face. I knew Jockey studied biology in college, and biologists collect samples, but where had he found these horrifying things? As I slowly looked at the disturbing collection, Jockey began to groan. I stepped around the giant centipede and stood before him. He lifted his head slowly, looking at me, then at the mess in the room. A bitter smile crossed his face. I lost control a bit, didn't I? I didn't answer. If that was just losing control, what counted as madness? My silence clearly annoyed him. "Why are you staring at me like that? Everyone gets upset sometimes. What's so strange about it?" I wasn't sure if I should talk to someone with on and off mental episodes about their condition. But he seemed aware of his episodes and was desperately trying to hide them. I hate it when people know they're wrong but keep pretending otherwise. I sneered, "Jockey, you didn't just get upset. You're crazy." He quickly stood up. "Nonsense. Complete nonsense," I said coldly. "You nearly strangled me to death just now. Was that just getting upset? And a few days ago, you went to the Wang's house, grabbed a knife, and hurt people. Was that getting upset too?" As I spoke strongly to him, his eyes looked around quickly and nervously. Jockey was always honest, but now he looked like a thief caught doing something wrong. When I finished, he suddenly dropped his head, holding it with both hands, gasping, "No way. No way. I don't believe it. I can't believe it. His no way was clearly refusing to accept the truth, which made me very angry. But then he said, I don't believe it. What did that mean? It made me suspicious.